Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. Welcome to a special live stream just as the sun decides to come through the windows here. Let me shut that a little bit so it's not going to blind me during this. But hello everyone. Anyway, welcome to Inside Arsenal, a live stream as we get towards the final, half an hour of deadline day. The 2025 summer transfer window is about to close very, very soon. So I thought I'd pop on here and we could go through it together, the final half an hour, get you guys involved, which will be all good. Should actually be quite a busy final half an hour. As is the way with transfer windows, it'll probably go on an extra half an hour afterwards with the whole deal sheets stuff being signed. But yeah, should well be a pretty busy one. We've still got, not just talking Arsenal here, we got loads to talk. By the way, anyone see the new mic? You see the new mic? Look. I'm going up in the world. I hope it actually sounds all right. It looks pretty smart, I think. All part of the new office setup here, which is, I'd say, slowly taking shape, but I'm not even sure slowly is the right word. It's getting there, or it will get there probably in about a month's time, probably about in the same amount of time that Arsenal announced the Hincapie deal. I joke, of course. I see already in the comments loads of you asking about Hincapie deal. When's it coming? When's the announcement coming? Well, I don't have the time yet. A lot of times I will have the time when it will be announced in advance, but we haven't got that yet. But I'm sure it is going to come very, very soon. I mean, the only announcements we've had so far, Sambi Lokonga completing his move to Hamburg on a permanent deal. Still waiting to hear if and when Fabio Vieira's deal is going to be agreed with Hamburg as well, or announced with Hamburg. That's going to be a loan deal, unlike Sambi's Norgard. It would be funny if he'd left. Nygaard, Lucas Nygaard has joined a Brandban IF on loan for the season, obviously from the Arsenal Academy. But at the moment, as of 6:27 on deadline day, nothing else has been announced by Arsenal. So, right, I'm going to go through some of bring some of you guys involved. Mark's on board saying good evening. Let's make sure he can actually show some of these. I don't know why these comments aren't coming up on the screen. It's weird. They normally do. There we go. There you go. They're on. Mark's on saying good evening, which is great. Cy Wilder saying oi oi. Ben saying Gahey to Liverpool off. Now, I tell you what, that if that doesn't happen, and I am not I can't really say much about Liverpool. I don't know, it's hard enough getting information out of people around Arsenal and stuff like that. I'm not going to be spending too much time trying to get information about what's going on at Liverpool. But I do think, and obviously they're going to get Isak, we're waiting for that to be announced as well. If Gahey doesn't go through, and there is talk that it might not, because Crystal Palace were trying to sign, I can't remember the name of the guy who's going to be a replacement for Gahey. That deal fell through, and Gahey today had his medical in London to complete his move to Liverpool. But because Palace haven't been able to get a replacement in, there's talk that Gahey deal might not happen now. And there's talks going on at the moment between Gahey, Glasner, Parish to try and work out what to do. And if Liverpool don't sign Gahey, I think that could be really big for them, really big. That could have a big impact on the season. Konate played very well against Arsenal yesterday. Van Dijk's obviously absolutely superb. They've got Joe Gomez, who came on and did well yesterday. But I just think Gahey would have been equally as important to them as a signing as Isak will be this summer. Let me just shut that a little bit more because that sun is really, really blinding me. There you go. That's better. So I do think that would be a big, big loss for them if they don't sign Gahey. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, there's still half an hour to go. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if they manage to get something over the line for it. But we shall see. Lars says, good evening. Fuck UK says, evening, Charles. Is the Hincapie deal done? As far as I'm aware, and I certainly haven't been told that anything's gone wrong with it yet. So as far as I'm aware, yes, and we're just waiting for the announcement. So yeah, as far as I'm aware, it is done. I'm surprised it hasn't been announced yet. But that means, the Kiwior deal hasn't been announced yet. I thought that would happen. I thought Kiwior would actually happen earlier today. That was the sort of what I was hearing in the morning, that Kiwior was going to be announced earlier than Hincapie, but neither have been announced yet. So we'll have to see what happens. But no, I haven't heard that anything's gone wrong with it. And I would have thought by now I would have started to have heard that. Sorry, I'm just checking my phone. You might see me doing that a bit during this stream. I felt like Sky Sports News then back in the day when they blatantly used to pretend to check their phones during deadline days to make it look like they're actually doing something. I promise that wasn't what I was doing. What I was doing there. Abhishek says, hello, Charles. Hi, how are you? High wattage guy, of course, NSW. I should know how to pronounce the second bit of that, NSW. Sorry, Uzia, is it? It says high wattage. Thank you very much for that. Cunty boys, good move. High wattage. Brandon says, yes, what's big fan. Thank you very much. Avinash says, any incoming wingers, not unless Arsenal have got something up their sleeves that I have absolutely no idea about, I have to say. No, as I said in this morning's show, Hincapie was the only incoming I was expecting today. Emperor Palpatine, good name, says, hi, Charles, thoughts on the Nelson loan? I'm surprised it's Brentford because I haven't heard any sort of whisper of that until today, and no one had, really. It was always Fulham or Crystal Palace who were definitely interested. Both of those clubs were definitely interested. So I'm surprised it's out of nowhere. It's ended up being Brentford. I think it could be a good move for him. Would I have preferred a permanent deal? Yes, I would. I don't think a loan's the end of the world, though, because he has got 2 years left on his deal, and this does include an option. I don't know what the number is yet on the option, but as far as I've been told, there is definitely an option included in this deal. I don't think it's going to be an obligation, though. I haven't heard that yet. But if he has a good season, if he can stay fit, and that's the big thing with Reiss, but if he can stay fit, I see no reason at all why he can't have a really good season at Brentford. I know that he wanted to stay in London. He's got his wish. He's staying in London. And if he can stay fit, just like he did last season with Fulham, when he was fit, he was playing really, really well there. And then he got the injury, and that just really curtailed his stay. He had to come back. And, I'm pretty sure they would have signed him on a permanent basis had he not got injured, because he was doing well there. So if he can stay fit this time, I see no reason why he can't have a really good spell at Brentford, and he can earn himself a permanent move there. So I would have preferred a permanent move, Emperor Palpatine, on obviously I would have preferred that, but I don't think for this one, unlike some of the other loans, I'm not overly bothered about this one because I think it could be good if he can stay fit, obviously. Is there a buyback clause or sell-on clause? I believe there's a sell-on clause, Brandon, for Kiwior, but I don't think there's a buyback. I certainly haven't heard anything about there being a buyback clause for Kiwior. So I'm just checking to see if we've had any announcement yet. Just laughing at this. I presume this is about my mic. Look, I'm very happy with it. I'm really happy with it. Does it sound good? Does it sound different? Is there a better quality of sound? Because this is quite an echoey room at the moment because I've got no furniture on it or nothing on the walls. So in probably about 2 or 3 weeks' time, this is going to be a wood-panelled wall, and it's going to have pictures on it and everything, and there's going to be a picture up there. But at the moment, it's so bare and it's really echoey. And I don't know if I'm hoping that this mic, because it is a better quality mic. Well, it costs more anyway. I'm very much hoping that it does make it sound a little bit better. Marcus says, so no left field like Arsenal incoming likely. Again, unless it's very, very left field, Marcus, and I've got absolutely no idea about it and no one else has got any idea about it, then no, I don't see that happening, I have to say. What do we got? I'm just looking at the latest from elsewhere, apart from Arsenal. Manchester United have just announced that Rasmus Højlund has completed a loan move to Napoli. We all knew that was happening, so that is now officially done. Fenerbahce have signed Marco Asensio from PSG. Obviously, there was talk that he was going to go back to Aston Villa, but he's headed off to Fenerbahce. It's important to note, and I'm talking about players like Zinchenko here as well, that if they don't move before the end of this deadline here, at 7 o'clock deadline, there is still plenty of time for them to go because the Turkish deadline doesn't shut. The Turkish window doesn't shut for a couple of weeks. There's other Saudi window doesn't shut for a while. So it's not, if they don't go now, it's not absolutely set in stone that they're going to be at Arsenal for the rest of the season. There is still a chance for them to go. But obviously this is the sort of window that Arsenal have been working towards right now. City deal in place for Donnarumma. Just waiting to see if Fenerbahce can now sign Ederson. If that happens, then Donnarumma will be heading to Man City. I was not prepared to be seeing him again so soon after what happened last season when Arsenal came up against him, which is a bit annoying because I don't like the sight of Donnarumma. I have to say, still get nightmares about him. Yeah, I wouldn't have said no to Anton Simeone. Semenyo. Sorry, I can't remember calling him Simeone on a show I did fairly recently as well, but I always get pronunciations wrong. Amir says, "Hi Gooners, hi Charles. Let's not lose hope. Season is young. Absolutely. Look, it was a disappointing defeat yesterday. Absolutely disappointing defeat. Of course, it would have been great to hold on and get a point, or even go and win that game. And I said in my show this morning that I do feel there is just a tinge of regret about the way Arsenal approached the game and the setup from Arteta. But if they'd have held on and got a point, that would have been a fantastic point, no doubt about it. And unfortunately, they just got done by an absolute worldy goal. Is it the end of the world? It's not the end of the world. There's still a lot of time left this season. And I'm absolutely not sitting here ruling out Arsenal winning the title just because of one defeat. Not at all. Sywilder says, he will surely end up at Liverpool. We shall see not too long to find out. Ikichuku says, hopefully Berta surprises us with a winger. He's done an awful lot. Andrea Berta, an awful lot this window. He's been a busy man. I don't think, though, unfortunately, he is going to surprise us with a winger. I will be very, very surprised. Hi, Wattage says, Mr. Watts. Louis says, Charlito. Not been called that before. Charlito. Oh, look, we got a fan of the new mic. There you go. This is an interesting one. Any idea of the Sambi fee? Love the new mic. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. I don't. Well, I have been told a number. I have heard a number, but I haven't had it confirmed. So I'm not going to say it on here because I just don't know if it's correct or not. I don't think it's going to be particularly big. So if you're expecting double figures or something like for Sammy Lokonga, I think you're probably going to be disappointed if the number ever even comes out. I think it's going to be, I think it is definitely a pretty nominal fee for Sambi. He's been injured for 3 years. Basically, when he has played, he's not really been absolutely fantastic. So I think this was always going to be a hard sell to get even half your money back for Sambi Lokonga, unfortunately. So if I get the number confirmed that I have in my head, that I've heard in my head, then I will say it. But right now, I just haven't had it confirmed. So I'm a bit reluctant to put a number to anything. Skyto Rush says that's a good brand mic. Fantastic. That is good to hear. I hope it should be for the money I spent on it, to be fair. Tyler says Gahey deal breaking down would be so funny. I still think Liverpool will be all right, I have to say. Let me just check I haven't missed anything now. City set to complete Donnarumma signing with Ederson to join Fenerbahce. Looks like that is definitely happening. Raheem Sterling could still leave Chelsea before the deadline. Well, hasn't got long to wait. Forgot about Raheem Sterling. It was about this time last summer that we were doing that deal, wasn't it? Neil says, any chance of getting Martinelli out the door at the 11th hour? No. I feel a bit. Oh, how do I put this? I feel a bit uneasy about the Martinelli hate at the moment. He's not having a good start to the season. He didn't have a good pre-season, but I've just got such a soft spot for Martinelli. Always will do. Do I think Arsenal can upgrade on that side? Yes. Do I think Eze is going to take his spot on the left-hand side? Yes. And I think Arsenal will be better for it. But I just feel a bit uneasy about some of the hate and the abuse, really, that Gabriel Martinelli's getting at the moment. He's done so well for Arsenal. He's been a brilliant sign, £6 million. He's turned into a brilliant player. Brazil international. He's a prime example of good scouting. And if this ends up being his final season at Arsenal, I really don't want him to go out with, just not a barrage of abuse or anything like that. But I just feel a little bit uneasy about hate for Gabriel Martinelli because I just think he's been such a good signing for Arsenal and he's done an awful lot. But again, do I think Arsenal can upgrade there? Absolutely. He's really struggling. Yesterday was a really frustrating performance and it kind of mirrors the performances we've seen from him so far in pre-season. But I still think there's a player there that Arsenal are going to need to contribute this season. So I think from my point of view, everyone needs to get behind him because Arsenal are going to need him this season. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And Mr. Watts says, I appreciate your everyday content. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Tender is asking about thoughts on Malik Fofana to Arsenal in the winter. I don't know. I just the outlay Arsenal made this summer. I'm already looking ahead to the January transfer window. In my head, I'm just thinking that is going to be a very, very quiet window. You know, Arsenal built such a strong squad. They spent such a lot of money. It doesn't look like they're going to be bringing basically any money back in. That I'm already looking at January transfer window and even next summer's transfer window and thinking it's going to be pretty quiet compared to what we've seen this summer. But look, he's an exciting talent. There's no doubt about that. That's why a lot of people are looking at him. Do I think Arsenal will really will be sort of really shopping in it in January transfer window? At the moment, I think it's pretty hard to say that. I still think outgoings are going to dominate Arsenal, if not this summer, for the next couple of windows. To be honest, Gahey done. Fabrizio said the medical is done. The medical is done, but the issue is that the replacement Palace were bringing in for Gahey, that deal was broken down at the last minute, which means despite Gahey's deal being done, there's a very strong suggestion that the Palace are going to pull the plug on the Gahey deal because they haven't got a replacement and don't want to go into the first half of the season without a replacement for their captain, which is absolutely understandable. Hello, Mike. How are you, mate? Good to have you on. Tyler's joining from California. Says good morning, good evening, Tyler. Good morning to you over there on the west coast of the US of A. Let's bring things up. Nico's asking about Zinchenko. Any chance of him leaving this window? I don't think so. That's the noises we're getting today. There's not to expect anything when it comes to Zinchenko. Again, you never know. Andre Berta could have received a phone call half an hour ago that might have done something, but it's what's this? I think Reiss Nelson might be being announced pretty soon to Brentford. I think something's emerged on social media of a Brentford shirt with Reiss. So I think we're not going to wait too much longer for an announcement on that. And I've totally forgotten what I was talking about. Oh, Zinchenko. Yeah, it's I just the noises we've been getting today is not to expect much not to expect anything when it comes to Zinchenko. So I don't think so, barring something dramatic happening, which I haven't heard about yet, that Berta has received a phone call from someone. But again, I don't think that necessarily means he's definitely staying, because when I look at where Zinchenko should go, and someone I was talking to on the Discord, inside Arsenal Discord earlier, was saying, Turkey could still be a realistic option for him, considering his wages and how the wage perks over there that players get because of the lower tax. There is still an opportunity potentially for Zinchenko to go to Turkey because the window doesn't shut for a couple of weeks. So even if he doesn't go, which is looking very, very likely now in this window, there is still opportunity. Maybe he could still go somewhere like Turkey. Charlton says, do you consider Liverpool title favourites now, and where do you think we will finish at the end of the season? Well, I predicted Arsenal win the league, and I don't really want to change that opinion after just 3 games. But, when I predicted Arsenal win the league, that's probably my heart rule in my head. Liverpool are the best team in the league. They won the league by a distance last season. We're comfortably the best team. They've spent, I don't even know how much money they've spent this summer. Yes, they've brought in a lot of money, but those are players who weren't really key players to them, apart from maybe Luis Diaz. But they replaced him, and they've signed Hincapie. They're about Alexander Isak. It's very hard to see beyond Liverpool, but that doesn't mean that Arsenal can't win it. Of course they can win it. They showed yesterday they can comfortably go toe-to-toe with Liverpool at Anfield, even while they're missing some of their key players. So if Arsenal don't win the league, I'm fully expecting them, unfortunately, to finish second again, but I'm still hoping they're going to win the league. I predicted they'll win the league, and I'm not changing my mind on that. So there you go. That's the one. Igor from Brighton to Palace. That's the one that's fallen through. Thank you very much, Randomage, and also Arsenal Reels for that. It was, of course, that deal. A crucial essay says, good evening, Charles from Ghana. Is anything concrete in Semenyo to Arsenal rumour? I haven't even heard that rumour. So no, I don't think so. I think he would love it, Semenyo. He's an Arsenal fan. And I would love it. It would be excellent, but no, I don't see it. Look, Arsenal's business is done, apart from Hincapie, which we're still waiting for the announcement. Arsenal's business is done. It's spent so much money. They brought in Madueke. They brought in Gyökeres. They've brought in Eze. They're not going to go out and sign another winger this window. Anthony has completed his move to Real Betis, so that is now done, according to the brilliant Mike McGrath at the Telegraph. Erik ten Hag was sacked today by Leverkusen after 2 games. 2 games. He's just released a statement, Ten Hag. The decision by Leverkusen's management this morning to put me on a leave of absence came as a complete surprise. To part ways with a coach after just 2 league matches is unprecedented. It is unprecedented. I'm just reading more of it. I started the job with full conviction and energy, but unfortunately the management was not willing to grant me time and trust that I needed, which I deeply regret. I feel this was never a relationship based on mutual trust. So there, Ten Hag, Man United have now announced the deal for Anthony to Betis. They've got 25 million euros. They've got a 50% sell on. There you go. Signed him. What did they sign him for? £86.3 million 2 years ago, and they've just sold him for 25 million euros. That was a good deal. It worked out well, that one. Right, let's go through some more of your guys have rushed it. If I'm Crystal Palace manager, I'd be fuming right now. I'd certainly be fuming if I mean, I can imagine Glasner is fighting his corner right now and just saying, look, I'm sorry, he can't leave. He must be saying that. Surely you'd be mad if you can't get a replacement and you're going to lose Gahey right on the deadline. Your captain, the goal he scored yesterday, unbelievable. Got about 15 points in FPL, by the way. But yeah, if you're Glasner, I'd be more fuming if they let him go now. Absolutely, they can't let him go. Surely it would be absolutely mad for them to let him go. Absolutely crazy. Singer says, how have Chelsea managed to get £70 million for Jackson without sounding salty? It doesn't make any sense. How can they do that? Yeah, we can't sell anyone for anything substantial. You've got to say, Chelsea's model, as much as it annoys me, and I don't think it's right. In fact, I think it's pretty murky and dirty. But the model, in terms of flipping players the way they do, it works from a financial point of view. It's the constant supply of ins and outs, the long-term contracts they put them on, so the lower wages that they put them on, which means that they are sellable. It does work. Do I want Arsenal to go down that route? No, I don't. I absolutely don't. But it's clearly working for Chelsea in a sort of the trading model that they're working to that no one else really does. It just works. Will we see other clubs do it? Because Chelsea seem to be having a lot of success at doing it and just keeping the money flowing in and out constantly. It just works, but I don't want to see Arsenal do it. How have Chelsea managed to get 70 million? I don't know. At the end of the day, I don't know what Bayern Munich are thinking. I actually don't mind Jackson. I think there's something about him. He's kind of in the Darwin Núñez territory for me, where I've always thought that Darwin Núñez, if someone could just calm him down a little bit and give him a bit more. Just get his brain working a little bit more in the final third, he could be an absolute world beater of a striker. I kind of feel similar with Nicholas Jackson. If he's just a little bit more sensible, he has his brain switched on a little bit more. He's got the attributes to be an excellent striker. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he goes over to Bayern and does really, really well. Of course, he's got Harry Kane in front of him, which isn't going to help too much when it comes to game time. Stephen says it has been a great window for Arsenal. It has been a great window for Arsenal, no doubt about it. It's definitely been a really good window for Arsenal. I'm going to talk about that. Myself and James Benj are going to be sitting down for Inside Arsenal Extra Time tomorrow, and we will talk about that and we'll assess the window between us. But I do think it's going to be a good window, certainly incomings-wise. Outgoings, it's the same old problems, isn't it? And that could end up impacting Arsenal in the next couple of windows. The significant outlay that we've seen without bringing any sort of money in. I think it's really hard not to see that impacting Arsenal's ability to continue sort of spending over the next couple of windows. I feel like there's got to be a big sale at some point, a really big sale at some point. I don't want to put a name on who that might be, but it just feels like something like that is coming. I also think when you look at the players that Arsenal have been selling, it's quite hard to get significant money for them. I think Kiwior deal is, I think they could have got more for Kiwior. But some of the others, Reiss just been injured all the time. Sambi been injured all the time. Zinchenko injured all the time and on massive wages. I'm not making excuses, for why Arsenal haven't been able to get deals done for these guys. But they are quite hard guys to sell. They're not really been in the team. Everyone knows they're kind of in the bomb squad, if you want to call it that, who, Arteta doesn't really play. I think now with the squad that has been built up at Arsenal, when these players sort of leave, the only players who are left are really top quality, high tier players. So I would think when Arsenal do come to looking to move some of them on, you would expect the fees that they could potentially get would be significantly higher. But it is always difficult as a Premier League club. It's not impossible, but it is always difficult to Premier League club to sell just because of the wages that these players are on. Unless you sell into another Premier League club, it's very hard to get a good fee for them because the other clubs in Europe can't really pay apart from the top sort of 2-3 clubs. So it is a little bit more difficult, but obviously some clubs can find a way to do it, and Liverpool have shown that, and Chelsea have certainly shown that as well. Can we get a Lookman loan deal? No, I don't think so. That is not going to happen. Like I said, no. If you're coming on here expecting a massive move for Arsenal in the last 20 minutes of the window, then I would be very surprised. Sorry. Right, let's have a look, see anything else has happened. Palace have announced that Odsonne Edouard, remember him? Arsenal were looking at him once a few years back, has just moved to RC Lens in France. Still nothing. Oh, there's a banner. A banner has been put up outside St James's Park by Newcastle fans saying, Isak is a rat, Vissa is a Geordie. Toon. Can you imagine when Isak goes back to St James's Park for the first time? That's going to be quite an atmosphere. Still not been announced, obviously, but still waiting for that. It's going to be a really busy we've got 8 minutes left now at the window. And it's obviously the deal sheets and all that sort of stuff. So it's going to happen. There's going to be stuff sort of dragging on over the next couple of hours after the window shuts. But it still feels like there's loads still to do. Legendary's getting in touch from Colchester. Good to have you here. Been to Colchester once, I think, Legendary in my life. Saw it was when I was working as a Reading reporter at the Reading Evening Post. Saw Reading beat Colchester 1-0. Chris Gunter scoring the goal. Actually, tell a lie. I've also been. I saw Arsenal's youth team in an FA Cup game, I think, at Colchester as well. Francis says, what's your thoughts on Kolo Muani to Spurs? I prefer that. I prefer them getting him than getting Lookman, I have to say. I think Lookman's a really good player. And when there was talk of them getting Lookman, I was a little bit worried. So I prefer them getting Kolo Muani, who had a decent enough start at Juventus, but I don't think his record was brilliant there. So a little bit inconsistent for me. Anders says, evening from Tennessee. Oh, no. I thought that was going to be a message from something to do with transfers, but it's a message from my wife standing outside my office saying that I need to move my car. And I do need to move my car so she can go out for her run. So I'm not quite sure what to do now. I think I'm going to have to leave you for a minute. I won't end the stream, but I'm going to have to go off for about 3 minutes to move my car, let her out, and then come back again. I don't see any other option for that because I don't want to end the stream just as we get towards the end of get to 7 o'clock. So you're going to have to excuse me and keep yourselves entertained for 2 or 3 minutes while I disappear out my room, move the car, and I will be back. So yeah, keep yourself entertained, everyone. The joys of live YouTube. Don't go in that room. The live stream's still going on. Move my car. I have to tell everyone. Have you seen the big rain line? No, I'll have a look when I move my car. It's so far. Oh yeah, wow. What? Look at that hair. It's a coming. Oh.
those socks off when you're coming over. You don't.
I want to see the rainbow again.
Skidding over. Yeah.
Is the last one still on?
Right, see you in a bit.
See you in a bit.
See ya.
And I'm back. Well, there you go. Joys of life stuff there. Timothy says, in a word, Charles, have we got enough? Yes, we have got enough. Does that mean that we're going to win it? No, but we have got enough. No doubt about it. We've got a brilliant squad. Like I said, I think this is the strongest squad I can ever remember Arsenal having. You know, that game, I'm including the Invincibles in that. The Invincibles are a better team. Obviously, they were. When it comes to the 11, they were an unbelievable team with sort of best players, well, with the best players I've ever seen play for Arsenal. But squad-wise, you know, when you're talking about, you know, Pascal Sigan played loads of games that season and did really well. Fair play to him. But you look at the strength and depth Arsenal have now, unbelievable. It's definitely the strongest squad. No, why would I be panicking about seasons? One defeat with 5 minutes away from getting a really good and deserved draw. At Liverpool, the champions, the best team in England. So why would I be panicking just because someone scored a 35-yard free kick? Am I disappointed? Yes, absolutely. But I'm definitely not panicking. I don't think anyone should be panicking. Rohan says Ozil style Rodrigo announcement. I don't think so, Rohan. Do you? I really, really don't think so. Be nice though. Oh, thank you, Ian. Appreciate that. Big fan of your show. Thank you very much. Jake says, love your videos, only decent Arsenal content creator. That's not true. There's loads of good Arsenal content creators out there. Absolutely loads of them. Big shout to Tom Canton, Harry Simiu, brilliant content creators out there on YouTube and elsewhere. And obviously the greats, the goats like Arsblog and Gunner Blog, James McNicholas, everyone like that. So, and Arsenal Vision, so many brilliant ones out there. Absolutely not just me. Not that I would count myself as a brilliant content creator. It's an interesting one. I was having a conversation with someone else about this today. So I was just reading something there. I was talking to someone else about this today, about the sort of value for Martinelli, and if he doesn't have a good season this season, will that value, you know, really sort of plummet? And hopefully not, you know, and hopefully he doesn't have a bad season. Hopefully he has a good season. He's just in a bit of a slump at the moment. I think right now his value is still good. You know, I'd be wanting 50 million plus, you know, 60 million plus almost for Martinelli at the moment. Still a Brazilian international, still been called up for Brazil for the latest squad. He's had a bad few games. He's still, you know, his numbers weren't dreadful last season by any means when you compare him to other left wingers, top elite left wingers around the world. He's young still. So, you know, absolutely sort of, we're talking 60 million. Still think his value is good. But I do wonder if he doesn't have a good season this season, what that might do to his value and what he might be worth last season. But hopefully we do. He does have a good season. We don't have to worry about that. Yeah, that was a really good point from Cy Welder here about Mascari yesterday. I thought he was absolutely excellent. Absolutely excellent. But we are now at 7 o'clock. We are at 7 o'clock. The window is now shut. Sorry, I'm just checking something. No announcements yet. God, there's going to be so much to go on in the next few hours, even though the window's shut. So much to go on. Sorry, I'm just going to send a message. Well, I have to say, I am surprised we've got to 7 p.m. and we haven't had any announcements yet in terms of the two big ones for Arsenal. Bit surprised. But there is still plenty of time. Well, you'd hope that they've got stuff done and that gives themselves plenty of time, even if they haven't announced it at this point. Right, let's see what else is saying, what people are saying in the comments, shall we? Lots of people asking about Hincapie. Unfortunately, I can't give you an answer at the moment. I've tipped Brentford to go down. Who's this? It is Tom. Why is your comment not showing up, Tom? Says Brentford will go down though, says Tom. I did tip Brentford to go down, I have to say. But even if they do, and Reiss has a good season, they could. That doesn't necessarily mean that that he'll end up coming back to Arsenal. So I still think it's a good move for him. Whatever happens, he's staying in London where he's going to be comfortable, and they play some decent football. And I think there's going to be lots of teams scrapping around for relegation as well. So I don't think it's an absolute certainty by any means that Brentford are going to go down. I think they're going to be one of the teams, no doubt about it. They're losing Vista now as well, which is obviously going to be important for them and a bad one for them. But I don't think it's a certainty. Sorry, I'm sort of stumbling over words because I'm trying to sort of send messages and read messages that are coming in at the moment. Still hearing nothing about, not getting any sort of hints on timings wise. Right, I need to stop looking at what people are sending me because I'm losing my train of thought while I'm speaking to you all. So Saliba injury update, says Chai Song. Let's get your comment up there, Chai. Update on Saliba's injury. Well, there isn't really one yet. Arsenal are assessing it. They'd have been having scans today. He's pulled out of the France squad. France announced that earlier. They described it as a sprained ankle. I think it was Pavard has come in to replace him in the squad, so he's not going to be going away on international duty. He'd been having a scan on that ankle today. Arteta saying yesterday after the game, obviously, that it was a worry for him not to be able to compete and sort of play through the pain in a match like that. Says that it must have been a really, really bad injury. Well, not really, really bad, but he said it was a worrying sign. Fingers crossed it's just going to be a sprain and he'll be 1 week maybe. He'll come back for the second week, international break, and he'll be fine. He'll be able to train and get ready for the game against Nottingham Forest. But it's not ideal. It's just another injury. The thing last season was so dominated by injuries, and Arsenal's season was so disrupted by injuries. You just felt surely you can't have another similar season to that again. But the way this season started, it's just exactly the same. And it's really, really frustrating. Mike says, hi, Charles. I'm just curious to know, do you have a recording sign on the door to stop people coming in when live recording? No, I don't. But I have told my kids out there not to come in because they know that I'm doing a live stream. And even though they are 9 and 10, should get that right. They know all about how YouTube works. They watch enough of it. So they won't be coming in unless something absolutely serious happens. So I think we should be fine. Right, let's go through a few more questions. Yeah, Gareth is going to touch this. Feels like we needed to clear these last few pieces of dead wood. Selling should be a bit more profitable from now on. Do you agree? I do agree, because I just look at the sheer quality of the players, and I think that all the players, I don't really see there being a sort of, I hate calling them bomb squad, but at the moment at Arsenal, there is that kind of, there are those players, aren't they, that we've just now, Vieira, Reiss, Sambi, who's obviously gone, Zinchenko, those sort of players who we just kind of know they're not going to play. But I think once they're gone, I don't think there's going to be any of those players anymore. Well, I hope there's not, because the squad's so good. I think Mikel should have enough trust in all the players who are left that there won't be any of those players who are sort of out in the cold. So anyone who wants to take an Arsenal player or sign an Arsenal player from this point forward or from this summer forward, they're going to be, good players who are playing a lot. And so you would think that bids that kind of come in are going to have to reflect that, you would think. So I do think we should see it from this summer onwards, it become more profitable. I think it needs to. It absolutely needs to. We've said for so long now that Arsenal need to be a better selling club, because that's going to help in the long term. This summer has been unbelievable, the money that Arsenal spent. I was not expecting it. I knew it was going to be quite a busy summer, quite a big summer. I didn't expect them to do what they've done. But at some point, you've got to bring money into the club. You've got to keep it coming in to keep those books balanced. And right now, it doesn't look like this summer Arsenal are going to be able to do that, which is why we're seeing the Hincapie deal, when it's announced, will be an option, not an obligation, just because that can go through in next year's accounting period rather than this year's accounting period. So, yeah, cheers for that one, Gareth. Let's have another look at what everyone else is saying. Oh, this is on Simon talking about Kiwior and Palace. Yeah, Kiwior's preference was to go back to the continent, not to stay in England. And I think that did hamstring Arsenal a little bit when it comes to potentially getting a bit of money or getting a bit of extra money for him, that the only place he really wanted to go was out on the continent. Yeah, I don't think that helped. That definitely didn't help. I agree with this. Let's get this up. Sorry, when I'm clicking to show the comments, it's taken a while. I hope that doesn't mean that the stream's lagging for you guys when you're watching it. But someone, it's called Jeet, has got in touch, and he says Zinchenko, 4th choice left back. If he's here, we might as well use him, and I absolutely agree with that. It's up on the screen now. You know, if he is here, Arsenal might as well use him. He's not a bad player, Zinchenko, by any means, and so if you're paying him a load of money to stay for a year, you know, you may as well use him when you can. That means being able to give people some time, you know, to ease up. You know, if he's on the bench and Arsenal are 2 or 3-0 up with 20 minutes to go, half an hour to go, bring him on, give someone a breather. So he, you know, if he's here, you've got to use him. He's still a good player. He's not a bad footballer. So yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Oh, Mark said, get North Banksy in to paint the walls behind you. Yeah, just trying to make sure a Spurs fan doesn't come and graffiti over them, because they're feeling a little bit bitter after that. Some of these comments are, I mean, like Yogi from Jakarta saying, is Rodrigo really happening? I mean, does anyone really think that that's really happening today? You know, there was interest earlier on in the summer, but clearly that's not going to be happening today. It's something like that just doesn't really materialize. Yeah, that's interesting. Emi Martinez, Marcus says, Eki Martinez, I'm presuming you mean Emi Martinez, looked like he was going to go to United. Didn't happen today. They've signed someone else, so he's going to have to go back to Villa, where Unai Emery left him out yesterday. He said he only wanted players who are committed to Aston Villa. So it'll be interesting to see how long it is until he's brought back into the team by Unai Emery. Ollie says, afternoon, Charles. Arteta always seems to only change after the first international break, so maybe this was the last conservative tactic for a long time. We shall see, Ollie. Yeah, you are right. That first international break always seems to be the point when we come back from that where Mikel makes some pretty significant changes. I'd be stunned if after the international break, Eze is not in the team on the left-hand side of the attack. Really, really surprised if he's not, barring any injury, of course. But other than that, I don't really see any other changes. You know, Odegaard will be back fit. Well, hopefully he comes back fit from the international break. So he'll be back in midfield. He'll have Zubimendi and Reiss. I think, you know, if Saka's fit, he'll be over on that right-hand side. You know, Saka was such a massive loss yesterday. Actually, I think Kai Havertz has been just such a massive loss as well. Huge loss. Sorry, I just had a message. Just read it and see what it is. There's nothing. Yeah, I think Kai Havertz has been a massive loss, no doubt about it. I think he would have played. I honestly think he would have played yesterday, and I think he would have played at Old Trafford had he been fit as well. You know, I think Gyökeres has got a lot of criticism after yesterday's performance, just as he did against Man United, but he was feeding off scraps. I thought when he did get the ball a couple of times, he held it out pretty well. He created a good chance for Timber in the first half. So I didn't think he was terrible, and I think some of the criticism he's got is unfair, considering there's a couple of opportunities where he could have been played in and he wasn't. I did think in the second half there was one moment when Martin Odegaard played a really, really nice reverse pass, and he should have been more alert to that. Had he been more alert and on his toes, I think he'd have had a really good opportunity just on the edge of the box. When everyone thought Odegaard was going to pass, he just did he just did a really nice reverse pass, but Gyökeres was just on his toes a little bit. The chance just like that was gone. So I think he needed to be a little bit more alert there. But there were other chances in the first half. You know, when Martinelli did that run, he just got his head down. He just didn't play Gyökeres in. It's like, if Gyökeres is on the pitch and you're in that position, just put the ball into the channel and let him do what we know he can do, that we saw he can do last week against Leeds. So it's still a work in progress, obviously, but Yeah, maybe we'll see a bit of a change in tactics, Ollie, after the international break. You're right; it does tend to be the time when Mikel Arteta does make some changes. Paul says Reiss will still be on the book in 10 years. Caitlin says, do you think he's sacked to Liverpool make it so much harder to win the league over them? Well, it's certainly going to make it harder, Caitlin, no doubt about that. I mean, that's an unbelievable front line. Imagine the front line they've got there, the options that they've got. But Salah, Ekatike, Isak, I mean, wow. And then you've got Gakpo, players like Gakpo. It's an unbelievable options that Arne Slot has got to, and you'd expect, Wirtz has done nothing so far this season, been really, really poor. But that's not going to stay that way for a long, forever. He's going to find his form and start to be a real asset for them. So it is scary, the options that they've got going forward. No doubt about it. They're the best attacking league. They're the best attacking team in the league, and they're about to add the league's best attacker, in my view. So it is definitely going to make it harder. Not impossible, but it's going to make it harder. Sorry, I'm just looking through some of the comments there. Mason says, great audio quality. That's good. The mic's working well. Just needs some acoustic treatment. Yeah, like I said, this room is going to get the wood panel treatment, which, fingers crossed, will help acoustics-wise as well. I don't know. I don't know about this. Arsenal have failed the window not addressing the left wing. They've signed Eze, who I think is going to be the left winger. They've signed Madueke, who I think wouldn't be surprised is going to be the second choice left winger. So there are two new left wingers in the squad. I know Madueke's best position is the right. It's where he feels more comfortable. But I think Arsenal have brought him in to play an awful lot of football on the left-hand side. And they've certainly brought Eze in, and he's going to play a lot of football on the left-hand side. So I don't think we've not addressed the left wing situation. I think we've brought in two left wingers who I think will probably be ahead of Gabriel Martinelli in the pecking order. So I think there is going to be quite a big change there. Just going through some more comments to try and bring them up. Obviously, there's lots and lots of very similar to what I've already answered, so I don't want to just repeat myself answering the same questions. Another one from Ollie here. Martinelli said, love Martinelli to bits. Only concern is progress has plateaued and worried he's already hit the heights. In an Arsenal shirt, big season for him. Yeah, I have the same sort of feeling as you there, Ollie, in terms of as he hit the heights, that season, it's 2 years ago now, that breakout season. Well, not breakout season, he'd already broken out by that point, but you know what I mean, when he took it to a whole new level. That feels quite a long time ago now. He's not kicked on at all since then, and that is a bit of a worry. He's definitely plateaued, and the way he's playing at the moment, you don't really see him suddenly exploding back into life and hitting those sort of numbers again. So we'll see. But fingers crossed he does. As Brendan says, he's a dip in form. He's a top player, and he also counts as homegrown. Mr. KG says, any idea on the numbers around the Vieira deal? Saw loan with 20 million buy option. No chance that happens without a great season for him. That is correct. That is correct. Those numbers are give or take correct, and that is the kind of option. It's one of those options that I look at and immediately think, that's not going to be taken up, I have to say. But you never know, it might be. Maybe I'm just being pessimistic, but it is one of those options that I just look at Hamburg and I think, are Hamburg going to spend 20 million on Fabio Vieira next summer? Not really. I'm not convinced on that, I have to say. But those are the numbers. And yeah, we'll see if when that one's going to be announced. See if anything else happening. Oh. Oh, Premier League says teams have until 1 a.m. to submit the full paperwork for sign-ins. 1 a.m. As long as the deal sheet has been submitted. Apparently, the deal sheet has been submitted for Mark Gahey. So it looks like Mark Gahey to Liverpool is going to happen. That's a shame. Oh, Fabio Vieira to Hamburg. That's about to be confirmed. Hamburg have just uploaded. I'm just watching it now. They've just uploaded a little social video of him signing his autograph, Fabio Vieira 20. So that's about to be announced. Sorry, everyone. I'm just typing something on the Discord. I'm seeing different times. I saw 1 a.m. as when paperwork had to be in to finalise. That feels quite long. But now I'm seeing also 9 p.m. But a deal sheet is in for Gahey. That is a shame. That is a shame. I was really hoping that wasn't going to happen. I do have him in my FPL team though, because I've just been waiting for him to complete his move to Liverpool. Oh God. Just on the keep cooking, Charles. There's a cow. Kieran says, any update on Bukayo Saka? Will he be back after internationals? The hope is that he's going to be very, very close to return for the Nottingham Forest game. Hopefully, will return for Nottingham Forest, but if not, he'll be very close by that point. And obviously, the Man City game is the following week. So, if there's any sort of doubt, you don't risk him against Nottingham Forest. But it's not a bad one, or it's not. I'm not a medical expert, but from speaking to people close to Bukayo Saka, it's not. There is relief that it's not a bad one. So, the hope is he'll be back soon after the international break. Whether that is Nottingham Forest, we'll have to see. But if we got with Man City, I think that's got to take preference, isn't it? The Man City game over Nottingham Forest game. And I thought Madueke played really, really well yesterday. He was Arsenal's best attacker, no doubt about it. He was really, really good. And really, really good. Maybe that's pushing it. But he was bright and lively. He was complete opposite to what Gabriel Martinelli was doing on the other side. So if Saka isn't fit for the game against Forest, then I'd have no issues with Madueke playing on the right-hand side and Eze coming in on the left-hand side and protecting Saka for that game. I don't have an answer. Tamba says, what's going on with the Hincapie deal? I don't have an answer. As far as I'm aware, we're just waiting for the announcement. But I haven't had any messages on it in terms of issues, but I haven't had any messages on it in terms of when it's going to be announced. So yeah, I wish I could give you more. I thought it'd be announced. I really thought it'd be announced at around sort of 6:30 or 7 o'clock. But not to be yet, but I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. Right, what time is it now? 20 past 7. 20 past 7. Ben Chilwell going to Strasbourg. Must have been a tough deal for Chelsea to do that. Nicholas Jackson to Bayern Munich. That's now confirmed, I think. Oh, my good mate Gareth McCleary, who I used to know at Reading, has just signed for Gillingham on a 1-year deal. Congrats, GMAC. Left Wickham yesterday. Massive Arsenal fan, GMAC. I was speaking to him on WhatsApp yesterday after the game. Good luck at Gillingham. So I'm trying to think what big deals we're still waiting to be announced. Isak, Gahey, Hincapie, Kiwior, Kolo Muani. Has that been announced yet? I don't think that's been announced yet. There's still loads to come through. It's a weird one. I think everyone's been caught out a little bit at 7 p.m. Do you think everyone thought it was a 11 p.m. deadline as usual rather than the 7 p.m. one? Oh, yeah. United haven't even announced their goalkeeper yet, have they? That Lamens. So that's 18 million. That's going to be announced very, very soon. Right, let's go back to your comments, shall we? There we go. Someone from Ecuador waiting for the Hincapie announcement. Another South American joining Arsenal. Another one to worry about during the international breaks, obviously, but great for MCFL1, have an Ecuadorian Arsenal player, which will be very exciting, I'm sure. Paul saying, has Vieira gone? Yes, he has gone. Don't think it's been announced yet, but it's about to be announced. Hamburg have put a little teaser on their socials. So, yeah, it's going to be announced very, very soon. Right, back to your comments again. Where's John? John's from Toronto and watching. Thank you very much, John. Blessing says, hi, Charles. Without being biased, which Premier League team has had the best window? I think you've got to say Liverpool. I mean, it's been an unbelievable, and I think we've had a brilliant window. I really do think we've had a brilliant window. Fantastic window. Certainly selling, buying wise, but Liverpool, the signings they've made, the quality they've added, the fullbacks, they've totally rejigged the fullbacks. They've brought in young players. The strike force they've amassed is now unreal on paper anyway. I'm sure Wirtz is going to, will get through this little sticky early spell and be a fantastic player for them. And they've sold so well as well. They've done it all really by balancing the books really, really well. So I think, it has to be Liverpool. But I think we've had a really good window. But I think Liverpool, with the selling as well, I just think they've had a all-timer of a window. They really, really have. Fair play to them. This was a time to do it. They're the champions. They're in a position of power. They've sensed that and they've gone on and they've really attacked it to try and sort of ram home their dominance. And they've done that. And I think they deserve an awful lot of credit for it, unfortunately. Right, let's go back to your comments now, shall we? Cal's watching from Ghana, says great work. Marcus said, did not get Liverpool, didn't look great yesterday. I think Liverpool are going to get better and better, though, aren't they? I think that's the sort of issue yesterday. That they might, so far, they haven't been great this season, but they are going to get better. There's no doubt about that. S. Jansen says, injury-prone Isak may not be the game changer that everyone thinks he is. Well, he won't be if he's injured all the time. And like you said, he does have his injury problems. But if he can stay fit and Liverpool can keep him fit, and I think Liverpool, with the fact they've got a Kiwior as well, and they don't have to play Isak all the time if they don't want to. I think that puts them in a good position to protect him as well. I think he'll be a game changer. I think he's brilliant. I think he's absolutely brilliant. But I hope you're right, S. Jansen. I really, really hope you're right. Right, back through. Just going through all your comments again. But they're all, so I'm trying to find a new one at the moment. Adams says, talking about Reading, did you see the 7-5? Of course. Of course. Our logical nonsense afternoon from Chicago. Stephen from Chicago, move your car. CM Punk World, Chicago. CM Punk City. Love it. Oh, what a return that was at Elimination Chamber when he came back at Chicago. That was just one of my favourite moments. Ollie says stream the car move. I'm just getting to the point of the comments, obviously, where I had to leave and move the car. Go, move the car. What a gent. Yeah, definitely at the point of the comments when the car move was happening. These are making me laugh. By the time you come back, Rodrigo, here we go, Charles. I forgot to mute. How could you hear me? I shut the door. The new mic, clearly the new mic works pretty well then. Oh, this is making me laugh. This is making me laugh. Well, at least I know the microphone's good. Oh, this is making me laugh. Right, while I'm reading these, let me go back and see see if anything has happened yet. See if I've missed an announcement. Yeah, Johan Visser, actually. We haven't had the announcement for Visser either. Axel Dizazi rejected West Ham. Looks like he's staying at Chelsea. Deal sheet's gone in for Johan Visser. So many big deals that haven't been announced yet. So many of them. Right, I'm going to have to go soon. I was really hoping we were going to get the Hincapie announcement and stuff while I was doing this stream, but it's dragging on a bit. And as you all know, as you just saw it happen, my wife has had to go out, and my kids are on their own at the moment. And I'm sure their eyes are probably going square by the amount of time they've been sitting on their iPads. So I'm going to have to call time on this pretty soon. Yeah, I thought this was weird. Falter's Charles, thoughts on Max Dowman coming on ahead of Nwaneri last night. I did think that was weird. I also thought it was weird that he took Madueke off at that point. It's like, if you're going to bring Dowman on, fair enough. There was only a couple of minutes to go. You're trying to get back into the game, fair enough. But I didn't think it had to be that sort of straight swap, right for right. You know, Madueke, as I said, was Arsenal's liveliest attacker, I thought, anyway. I'd have just kept him on, bring Dowman on, fine, take a defender off. You know, it was 1-0, what we had going into injury time at that point. I didn't think it needed to be. I was surprised he took Madueke off. And I do wonder what Nwaneri's thinking, sitting there, seeing a 15-year-old going on ahead of him. Admittedly, it was in a different position. It was on a right wing, but we saw Ethan playing right wing last season. So, yeah, I did think it was a strange call. I think it was kind of an interesting call as well. But I just think, you know, Dowman, Arteta rates him so much. He really, really does. He doesn't care about his age. He just really, really rates him. So I think here we are. We're going to be seeing him an awful lot this season. Absolutely, Adrian Clark, brilliant content provider. And he's launched his own YouTube channel fairly recently as well. Adrian, top guy, brilliant content creator. If you haven't started watching Adrian's channel yet, you absolutely should, 100%. Right. Okay. Right. Okay. That's interesting. Right. I might stay on for a little bit longer. Read into that what you will. Let's go through some of your comments again. Oh, I've got to the point in the comments where I was talking about how much I value Martinelli at, and Tom obviously disagrees when I say 60 million. He says 30 million. So, oh, come on. You can't be valuing Martinelli at 30 million, Tom. You just can't be. He's a Brazilian international. He's probably going to start for Brazil in the next game on the left wing. He started the last one. Has a good chance of starting during this international break. He's had a poor start to the season with Arsenal, but 30 million for Gabriel Martinelli. Arsenal just signed Madueke for 52 million. You can't be valuing Gabriel Martinelli at 30 million. Come on, that's just not true. It is not true. Joy says, "Hi Charles, what do you rate the window out of 10? For me, it's a 9. For a 10, I think we needed Martinelli exit and a left wing sign in. Yeah, I think if Arsenal, again, I do think though that Arsenal have signed left wingers in this window. Eze is going to play on the left hand side of the attack. He will. Madueke is going to play on the left hand side of the attack. We don't know how well they're going to do. Yeah, come the end of the window, we might look back at it. Come the end of the season, we might look back on it and think, Eze might have had an absolutely amazing season over on the left-hand side for Arsenal. Madueke might have done. So, me and James are going to do Inside Arsenal Extra Time tomorrow. So keep your eyes peeled for that, and we will assess it. We'll probably give a rating to the window at that point. But it's going to be high. I think Arsenal had a great window. Could it have been better? Yes, it can always be better. You always want one more. Always end the window wanting one more. Even if I was a Liverpool fan right now, I'd probably be ending the window thinking, "Oh, we're brilliant. We signed all those players. Could have done one more somewhere in the squad." But I do think it's been a really, really good window. Stevie says Martinelli lacks a footballing brain. I know you love Walcott, but he suffered from the same issue. That didn't improve, unfortunately. Theo scored over 100 goals for Arsenal. Over 100 goals. He gets so much. He's so underrated. I will die on this hill that Theo is underrated. He was excellent for Arsenal. Theo Walcott. I do. I know what you're talking about, though. I do know what you're talking about. If Martinelli went on to score the sort of goals that Theo Walcott scored, then that'd be fantastic. But I know what you're talking about. And there was opportunities yesterday that he just needed to look up. He needed to think a little bit more. It is very head down with Gabriel Martinelli. It's something that's, it's a tag that he's got, and he's got that for a reason, because he does do it an awful lot. It is just run, head down, just needs to look up a little bit more. And if he did that yesterday, he could have picked out Gyökeres. He didn't, and the chance went. So I know what you're talking about, Stevie. But lay off Theo. The guy did it. The guy was a good player for Arsenal. Right, let's carry on. Charles, what can you do after the window is shut? Talk about football, Reggie. Simple as that. Talk about football. I can't wait for the window to shut. I can't wait. It's mad. I always find it mad, like from sort of keeping tabs on the analytics of my videos. During the window, transfer window, the views go up on how many people watch my videos and listen to my content. But when the football starts, when there's actually real football to talk about rather than transfers, they go down. And I always think, surely we're all football fans, right? Football's more important than, it's why we love the game. It's the actual game rather than the transfers. So I always think it's quite weird that sort of views and listens and all that go down when the football starts. It's like, isn't that what we're in it for? To actually talk about football rather than who's going to be signing for who. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the window shutting, Reggie. I am. I'm looking forward to just talking about football, really sort of previewing games, not having to spend so much time talking about transfers. It's going to be fun. And also, transfer season does send people like proper crazy, like really crazy. I always get abuse during the whole year, obviously, but the abuse you get during transfer season is so much worse than it is. It can be. It just sends people absolutely mad and crazy. So I'm looking forward to the respite, I have to say. I do wonder that. I mean, the timing of Zinchenko, the book launch or the book update when he did the new chapter and he talked about how hard it was to sit on the bench and not play. The timing of that book or that update, those quotes, it's not great timing considering he's still at Arsenal and it looks like he's going to see out the final year of his contract. It's not great timing. $7:36. I will stay on for a little bit longer, 20 minutes or so, unless my kids start burning the house down behind me, which I'm sure you'd all know about if they did, considering you just heard the whole conversation about the car move. James Nichols. I seen a tweet saying Saka, Saliba have signed new contracts. I'm not sure if it was clickbait. Yeah, they haven't. Well, I certainly don't think they have. I've not been told that. John says, thanks for the daily videos, Charles. I look forward to them each day. That's great. Football says, what is your feedback on Kiwior? What does that mean? What is your feedback? What are my thoughts on Kiwior? My thoughts on Kiwior, I think, been a good signing for Arsenal. Was very good at the end of last season when Arsenal really needed him. The previous season when they needed him at left back, he was very good then for a period of time. I think he's been a good signing. I'm glad he's getting a move that it seems like he really, really wants. I think Arsenal could have got more for him, should have got more for him. But again, as I said earlier on in this stream, that they were a little bit hamstrung by Kiwior's wish to go back to the continent and not stay in the Premier League. Had he wanted to stay in the Premier League, I think they probably could have got more money for him. I think there was interest there. But he needed to play. He's at an age now where he really needs to go and play. He's got his wish. He's got his move. He's going to a really great club in a brilliant city. Great fans, always in Europe. I think it's a really good move for him and good luck to him. And he's going to go with everyone wishing him well, I think, because he really stepped up when Arsenal needed him last season. You know, I was in the ground. I spoke about this in previous shows. I was in the ground when Gabriel got that injury against Fulham, and it sucked the life out of the whole stadium because it was like they knew Real Madrid was coming and looming large. It was like, oh my God, we're going to be without Gabriel. Kiwior's going to have to play against Real, and there was real worry and concern. And he flipped that on its head completely and performed so well. And yeah, and because of that, and the way he ended the season in the way he played against Real Madrid, you know, he's going to go with a lot of people wishing him well. So happy for him. Happy for him. Kai said, I know it's far out, but what do you think would be our January priorities? Sell more? Yes. I do think that. What would you consider as the biggest move of the day? Not your wife's car, although that is up there. It wasn't my wife's car; it was my car. I was parked in front of her on the drive. She couldn't get out, so I had to move my car. What would I consider? Well, it's got to be Isak, isn't it? It's going to be a British record fee. It's one of the biggest signings, biggest transfer fees of all time, and it has to be that. It just has to be that. Not been announced yet. Be funny if it didn't go through, but obviously it's going to go through. I think we all know that. So yeah, I say it has to be Saka. I can't see who else it would be. Just looking at some other headlines doing around, Raheem Sterling staying at Chelsea. No move for him, so he's not going to play much football between now and certainly January. Anyway, just go down to arsenal.com and the website's not even loading at the moment. It says shows an awful lot of people are sort of logging on to see what's happening. I would say maybe log on in. What's that? I've got really, well, I was going to say I've got dodgy Wi-Fi. I haven't got the greatest Wi-Fi here. And I was very worried about this live stream, about whether it would totally collapse halfway through. I'm relatively happy at the moment that it is managed to hold up for this time. It'll be sod's law now. It will collapse in the next 10 minutes or so, which wouldn't be ideal. Yeah, this is an interesting stat. If you've not seen it, Arsenal got the second lowest XG from open play of all Premier League teams in the first 3 games of the season, which is surprising considering there's a 5-0 win in there. Are you worried about it, Lucas says? I'd be worried about it if it was there after sort of 8 or 9 games. I know Arsenal played away at Old Trafford and they played away at Liverpool. So I'm not massively worried about it right now. I'd certainly like it to be higher than it is. But I also think that Arsenal are going to add and are going to look a lot more exciting in an attacking sense. You know, once they get back from the international break, when you add Eze to the mix, you've got Madueke firing, you've got Saka back to his best, you've got Gyökeres beginning to bed in, all that sort of stuff. Then I would expect Arsenal's XG in open play to be much, much better. I just genuinely think that Eze is going to make such a big difference to this team when he's in the side, and I really do think he'll be in the side straight after the international break, and I think we'll see a big improvement. So no, I'm not massively worried. It is very small sample size at the moment to take that from, and in the context of having to go to Old Trafford on the opening day, having to go to Anfield, no. I think Arsenal will be fine. Like I said, if it was that after 8 or 9 or 10 games, then I would be worried. But I can't see it staying that way. I can't. I think it's a bit of an anomaly at the moment. What's going on with the Hincapie deal, says Tamba. Just wait a little while, wait a little while longer, Tamba, a little while longer, and all will become clear. So, do you worry that Ethan and MLS will be academy sales in 12 to 24 months due to Dauman and left backs? That's an interesting one. Do I worry? Well, I don't worry about it, because if that is the case, if Arsenal do end up selling those two, it's because 2 other players have come through and have been unbelievable. You know, it would mean that Dauman would be unbelievable and he's got the progress that we all hope that he will have, and that, you know, Calafiori or Hincapie have become these mainstays in the team that are just undroppable, and that means that MLS can't get any minutes. So I don't worry about it, because I think the only reason that will happen is if something good, if it's, you know, it will mean that other people have done something really, really good. And I think also Arsenal get an awful lot of money for those 2 players now. They both signed long-term contracts, so they're safely secured in terms of their futures. So I don't worry about it massively. I think, you know, I hope it doesn't happen. I hope they go on to both have massively long careers at Arsenal, and I'm sure they will. But if that wasn't the case, it would be because others have forced their way into the pecking order ahead of them. And I also think Arsenal will get massive money for the pair of them. So no, not overly concerned, I have to say, when I sort of think about it that way. Patrick's another one who thinks Isak will be injured I had a question the other day. He said, would you prefer Gyökeres and Eze or just Isak? And I said Gyökeres and Eze, and I stand by that. I think Isak's going to be magnificent for Liverpool. I really, really do. But I still stand by Gyökeres and Eze over just Isak. You know, I'm glad that both Eze and Gyökeres are already on board. I think that'll be really beneficial for Arsenal. They came in, especially Gyökeres, relatively early. Isak's still going on at the moment. Obviously, he's kind of missed a lot of football. Will he be great straight away? You think he's got to have a pre-season, all that sort of stuff. So no, I'm happy with what Arsenal have got. We'll wait and see if Isak's injury record, and which a lot of people have sort of focused on, has if it comes back to bite Liverpool. You know, I never wish ill on anyone, don't want them to be injured, but it would be pretty handy if he did miss a lot of football from an Arsenal point of view. Right, Fabio Vieira has just been announced by Hamburg. Let's see if Arsenal have announced it yet. Nothing from Arsenal, I don't think yet. Oh, yeah, there you go. Arsenal have announced it. Statement from Arsenal. Fabio Vieira has joined Bundesliga side Hamburg on a season-long loan. 25-year-old joined us from Premier League side Porto in June 2022 and has featured 49 times for us. We wish Fabio all the best for his loan spell in Germany with Hamburg. The loan deal is subject to the completion of regularity process. Let me see if I can show you. And, let's translate that to English. Oh. Okay, so Hamburg's sporting director, Klaus Costa, says Fabio is technically strong attacking midfielder with an excellent left foot. He possesses a great deal of wit and can provide decisive momentum in the final third with the last or second to last ball. He is not only an asset to our team as an initiator of the attacking play, but he also has a dangerous long-range shot. So those are the words of the sporting director at Hamburg. Board member Stefan Kuntz says we are fully committed to adding to our midfield squad. With the signing of Fabio, we have now filled the last vacant position with high-quality midfielders. Fabio is a classic playmaker who brings a lot of creativity. He will give our attack even more options. So that was a word of Stefan Kuntz. Anyone of my sort of age who remembers Euro 96 will certainly remember Stefan Kuntz. Certainly remember that name, Stefan Kuntz. Commentator's absolute nightmare, obviously. So, yeah, but Fabio Vieira now to Hamburg. That has been confirmed. Brought up the wrong slide. What time is it? 7:48. Just wait a couple more minutes, people. There we are. There's Fabio. Sorry, that's what I was just doing. I was trying to bring up a picture that Hamburg have posted of Fabio Vieira. Good luck to him. Good luck to him. It is a loan. It has got an option. It's not an obligation. Do I expect that to happen on a permanent basis this time next year? I can't say with all certainty that I do. Oh, Mark Gahey set to stay at Crystal Palace despite deal sheet submitted for transfer to Liverpool, reporting David Ornstein. 25-year-old did Liverpool medical. An agreement reached between the clubs with the centre-back on a 5-year contract. But Crystal Palace replacement issue has stopped the move. No Mark Gahey to Liverpool. Wow. I genuinely think that's really, really big. I do. I think that's a big blow to them. Really big blow. And there you go. 750. Pierre Hincapie has joined Arsenal on loan from Bayer Leverkusen on a option to sign. So we have the announcement now that Arsenal have signed Piero Hincapie. Although, having said that, it's not up on the Arsenal website yet, but I can assure you that the announcement is a 7:50 announcement. That was the time that we were given about 20 minutes ago, and it is now 7:50. Option to buy 52 million euros for Hincapie. But again, that is basically an obligation to buy rather than an option. It will be turned. It is exactly the same as the David Raya deal, just for accounting reasons and all that. It's gone down as an option. If you'd have put it down as an obligation, you'd have to go in this year's books. But you put it down as an option, it means it can go in next year's books. So he will sign for Arsenal on a permanent basis once his loan is up. I don't know why Arsenal haven't put it on the website yet, because 7:50 was the time that we were all given to for this announcement. And here we go. Let me try and get some pictures of him and the screen. So just look at they're having a nightmare on the Arsenal website at the moment. They've put the Hincapie, the story so far feature on the website, but they haven't actually put the announcement story on the website yet. I think they're having some issues. Let me get some photo. I'm just trying to get trying to get some photos up for you. Sorry, I'm just putting a picture of him online. They've tweeted it now, Arsenal. The final piece of the puzzle, Piero Hincapie is a gunner. Right, let's see if I can find some quotes for you. So I'm just looking at pictures of him with Mikel Arteta, looking very, very happy at the moment. Number 5, he's wearing the number 5 shirt. There you go. He'll wear the number 5 shirt this season. It's quite hard doing this streaming lark where you're also trying to put stuff on social media. It's not easy. I'm not very good at multitasking, as you can probably tell. If my new mic is as sensitive as you guys say it is, then you must be able to hear everything that I'm typing at the moment. It must be pretty annoying, so apologies for that. I'm just trying to get a couple of pictures up for you here, which I will bring up on screen in a minute. Let me get rid of poor old Fabio. Bye-bye, Fabio. It was nice knowing you, mate. And let's try and get Piero up for you before I get some of these quotes. Here we go. There he is, Piero Hincapie in his Arsenal shirt for you. Arsenal's new number 5. Okay. Andrea Berta says, we are delighted to have completed the loan signing for the season of Piero Hincapie. At 23, Piero already has significant experience both in the Bundesliga and at international level. He is an intelligent defender with real strength and versatility. His performances in recent years for both club and country have been of a consistent high quality, and we are confident Piero will continue to grow this season and be an important player for us. Mikel Arteta says, we are so pleased to welcome Piero to the club. He's a real physical presence with his versatility and tactical flexibility, giving us strong added defensive options. He is a big character with a very good combination of both youth and maturity. He will make our squad stronger and more competitive as we continue into the season. We welcome Piero and his family to the Arsenal. So there you go. There's quotes from Andrea Berta and Mikel Arteta on Piero having signed for Arsenal. And I think that is a good time to end the stream now, everyone. I think that's a good time. I'm going to have to go and see my kids. Let's bring up Hincapie improves our squad already. Good looks. Yeah, Arsenal, very attractive looking squad, aren't they? Looks like a unit, says Ollie. Absolutely. Mika says, come on, you Gunners, North London forever. Perfect window. Liverpool misses out on Mark. WK Gunner, I have a theory. Do you think buying all these central defenders is more likely preparing for life after Saliba? Maybe. You've got a plan, haven't you? There's got to be squad planning in it, but I don't think necessarily that's why they're doing it. I think they're just doing it because they're good defenders and they want to build the squad up. But, you know, it is important to have sort of squad planning in your mind when you're doing it, isn't it? And Saliba's contract talks are ongoing. We know that Reiss are in the background, so maybe so. I thought he was excellent yesterday, Mosquera, when he came in. Yeah, maybe so, but hopefully not. Hopefully not. Mark says Hincapie, great hair. Yeah, I could do with some of that, Mark. It'd be very nice indeed. Nenen says the kids are too quiet. Yes, that is always a little bit worrying when I can't actually hear what they're doing next door. But I'm pretty sure they're going to have their headphones on and their faces far too close to their iPads as they usually do when I'm not around to control them. Really enjoyed this window, says Ollie. Yeah, it's been a fun window. It's been a busy window. Jockey says Hincapie versus Calafiori left back, the battle of the handsome. Indeed. No, trust me, Ollie, they're not going to be watching the stream. They'll be watching utter rubbish on their iPads, which is what they always do. Honestly, the stuff that they watch, man, just drives me absolutely crazy. It's just, what are you watching? Go and watch something decent. Seriously, pay all this money for all the streaming services and you're sitting there watching, I don't even know what it is. I don't even know. Honestly, the kids are today. I'm too old, mate. I'm too old, Ollie. Really am. Right. That's it from me. Casey Clips, as you said, call it a night. Well done. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for bearing with me. I was going to end it about half an hour ago, but I did get word that the Hincapie announcement was coming at 7:50. So I wanted to stick it out till then. So we got the announcement while we were all together. And we were. So thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening. I'll be back tomorrow. Usual show in the morning. Then we've got Inside Arsenal Extra Time, myself and James, when we're really going to assess the transfer window, probably give it grades, all that sort of stuff. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I'll end with those pictures of Hincapie signing for Arsenal. Arsenal's new number 5, the final piece of the puzzle, they called him, after a really spectacular window Arsenal-wise in terms of incomings. 8 signings in, loads of money spent, barely any brought in, but still, Kiwior will be heading off. I'm not sure. Let me just check that's not been that one's not been confirmed yet, but that will be confirmed in due course. Kiwior will go. Reiss Nelson as well to Brentford. That is going to be happening. I'll be stunned if that doesn't happen afterwards. So speak to you all very soon. Take it easy. Enjoy the end of your night, and I'll see you later. Bye.